Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
We learned about placentation in the previous class. What is placentation? Sania, what is meant by placentation? Sania?
I didn't revise, ma'am.
Very good. You revised only for the test. That was supposed to be conducted the previous day, no? Is it that difficult to remember? You know where is placenta present? In a flower, where is placenta present? No idea. Gayatri?
Ma'am, it's the arrangement of ovules in an ovary.
In a? Within the?
Ovary.
Ovary. Arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. Sania can repeat the answer.
The arrangement of ovules within the ovary.
Okay. And there are different types of placentation. Just name it, Rijas. Different types of placentation.
Marginal.
Marginal. Can you speak a little louder? Marginal.
Axile.
Axile.
Free central.
Free central.
Parietal.
Parietal. Then.
Parietal.
And one more. One which is free with these four. Rijas, your video I cannot see. I gave the starting term of that one. Along with these four, one is free, I said.
Basal.
Lydia?
Basal.
Basal you already said.
Free central.
Free central. And in P plan, what type of placentation is found? Anna, in P plan, what type of placentation is found?
Marginal plant.
What is marginal placentation? Evelyn, what is marginal placentation? Evelyn? Evelyn, you are saying something? Donna, what is marginal placentation? Here placenta will form. What is meant by marginal placentation? Donna heard the question? Donna, did you hear the question?
Yes, ma'am.
So in marginal placentation, I started the answer for you. Here the placenta will form. Naureen, are you there?
Ridge.
Yes. Donna, correct. You're checking now where it is. Textbook is next to you? Or lecture notes? Placenta will form a ridge. And then, what is present arranged on that ridge? Placenta is meant for the attachment of what?
Ovule.
Ovules are arranged. What is the pattern of arrangement?
4 rows.
Arranged in 2 rows. All were busy preparing for today's test? Anyway, let me see. Okay, we'll continue. We started with the semi-technical description of a flowering plant. We started with a semi-technical description of a flowering plant, and we learned that a flower can be, a flower can be described briefly in simple and scientific language, and it can be arranged in proper order, starting with its habit, then vegetative characters like root, stem and leaves, characters of the vegetative parts like root, stem and leaves, and even the floral characters. Floral characters means the features of flower and inflorescence. And once we describe, after describing the plant, then we give the floral formula as well as a floral diagram. And with that, the semi-technical description of the flowering plant will be complete. And now we need to know what is meant by a floral diagram and floral formula. Actually, in your textbook, 3 families are given: Fabaceae, Solanaceae and Liliaceae. But this year, CBSE, they deleted 2 of them and you need to learn only one, either Liliaceae or Solanaceae. So, you are going to learn Solanaceae. Okay, don't get confused with the names. Slowly you will become familiar. Now, coming to floral diagram. So, let's see what are okay, coming back. You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, floral diagram. Let's see what all information you get from the floral diagram. So, one by one we will see what are the information present in the floral diagram. We will come to know about the number of parts of a flower. How many parts that flower has got. Then, how are these parts arranged with respect to each other? How are they arranged? In what way? These different floral parts are arranged with respect to each other. Then, relationship of the parts of flower with each other. So, how are they related? How are they associated? Then, position of the mother axis with respect to the flower. And this position will be represented using a black dot at the top of the floral diagram. With a dot on the top of the floral diagram, the position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is denoted. Then, cohesion and adhesion within the parts of the whorls. Whorls means these different layers and between different whorls. So, cohesion and adhesion means when there is an association among the parts of the among the same parts. Suppose the association between petals, whether they are united or sepals. Sepals, are they united or are they free? All that will come under cohesion. Whereas adhesion means union of dissimilar parts. So, we already learned stamen getting attached to perianth, stamen getting attached to petals. So, that is an association between different floral parts. So, that is known as adhesion. Whereas cohesion means the association or the interaction or the union among the same parts. Suppose we learned sepals will be fused together, sepals can be free. So, all those associations existing in the same world, that is known as cohesion. But when association is between different parts of the world, you call it as adhesion. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, they are drawn in successive whorls. So, in the same order it will be marked. So, you know that if you take a flower also, it comes in the same order. So, from lower side if you start calyx, then comes corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So, when you draw the floral diagram also, the same sequence or same pattern is maintained, with the calyx being the outermost and gynoecium being the innermost, just like in an original flower in the same order. So, when you draw the floral diagram, it has to be in a proper sequence. After calyx, you cannot represent gynoecium or androecium. After calyx, it should be corolla, then comes androecium and finally gynoecium. So, calyx forms the outermost whorl, gynoecium forms the innermost whorl. So, once again I will repeat the different information we get by seeing a floral diagram. Even though no description is given, just by seeing the floral diagram you will come to know all these details. So, the first one is how many parts. Normally 4 parts are there. So, number of parts of a flower, how these are arranged with respect to each other, and how are they related, relation of the parts of a flower with each other. Then position of the mother axis. So, mother axis actually means the shoot on which the flower is produced. The shoot of the flower or you can say the shoot on which the flower is produced. That is known as mother axis. And how the flower is positioned or located with respect to the mother axis. So some flower will be direct erect, some will be laterally bent, depends. There are different type of flowers, so their position with the mother axis can be different. So that is depicted with the help of a dot on the top of the floral diagram. So that indicates their position with respect to the shoot on which it is produced. Then it also gives us information about cohesion and adhesion. So cohesion means the association existing in the same word, whether the petals are joined or the petals are free, or if you take the case of stamens, whether they are united, whether it is free or forming bundles, 1 bundle, 2 bundle, 3 bundle. So all those are existing in the same word. So that is known as cohesion. But at the same time, the members of one world can be fused or connected with that of the other world. So that is known as adhesion. So we'll come to know about cohesion and adhesion from these from the floral diagram. And when you draw the floral diagram, it has to be in a proper sequence. As we said in the beginning, calyx should be the outermost and gynoecium should be the innermost. Calyx, corolla, and rhecium, gynoecium. So this is the sequence to be followed. Now let's see about floral formula. We'll be seeing the floral diagram for Solanaceae. So before that, we'll check out floral formula also. So in the beginning, when I was saying about semi-technical description of a flowering plant, I told you that after giving the description of the plant regarding its vegetative, floral characters, habit, etc., we present the flower in the form of a floral diagram and floral formula. So floral formula, as the name suggests, it will be represented in the form of a formula using some alphabets. So if you need to write or if you need to understand what that floral formula is trying to convey, you should know what each letter stands for, and you need to by heart these alphabets and symbols. BR, that indicates the flower is bracteate. Already we learned presence of bracts. Okay. Then K, K indicates calyx. C for corolla. Both are starting with C, but K is used for representing calyx and C for corolla. P for perianth, A for androecium, G for gynoecium, and when it is represented like this, it indicates superior ovary. So G stands for gynoecium or ovary, and the line is below. So ovary is superior. Whereas if it is represented like this, ovary is inferior. This is inferior ovary, whereas this indicates superior ovary. Okay. Superior and inferior ovary, you should not get confused. When above the line G is represented, it is superior ovary. When it is below the line, it is inferior ovary. Superior ovary, then this indicates inferior ovary. Then what does this symbol indicate, children? Anybody? You have learned, no?
Male.
Male. And this indicates female. How can you remember it easily? For this male one, you can find, it looks like an arrow, bow and arrow used by, you just for remembering it, you can relate it to bow and arrow used by males. It's not that females cannot use, nothing like that. Then female, it is represented by this, it resembles a mirror, And mirror, it is more commonly used by females. Doesn't mean boys are not using. Many of them will be having pocket mirror. That is a different thing. They always carry with them. But still, for our reference or for recollecting it easily, just relate that girls are fond of mirror and boys are fond of bow and arrow. So you will not forget it. Okay. So you want to see the symbols again? Would you like to see the symbols again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, BR for bracteate, K for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for andrecium, and then G for gynoecium, and G with a line below, it indicates superior ovary, and G with a line above, inferior ovary, then male, female. Then this indicates a type of symmetry. Any guesses what type of symmetry? Huh? Anybody? Nevin.
Radial.
Radial symmetry. That is also known as actinomorphic. Same. This is bilateral symmetry. You call it as zygomorphic. And when a particular number is enclosed within brackets, that shows fusion. For example, 5 written in brackets. Okay. Then you can understand that it can be sepals or petals. K, they have indicated K and 5 like this. You can understand that calyx, 5 sepals are there and they are fused together. You have already learned about free sepals and fused sepals. Calyx or corolla, when the number is given in brackets, it indicates that that particular whorl is fused, and the number indicates the number of that particular whorl. The number of members of that particular whorl is indicated by the number, and if it is kept in brackets, you have to understand that it is fused. If it is simply written, they are free. Here it is fused and here they are free. Anybody else is taking the pen? I can see some other markings over here. Okay. Next one. Line drawn above the symbols of floral parts. That shows adhesion. What is adhesion? Already I told you that is a union between different floral parts. So already we learned petals are, stamens are fused with petals. So it will be indicated as, let me take the pen. For example, if it is shown like this one, line is drawn above the symbols, you can understand that corolla or petals are fused with the stamens. Understood? This line connecting two whorls, if such a symbol is shown, that means that those two whorls are fused together. There is an association between those two whorls, or you can say it is adhesion. The difference between cohesion and adhesion is the union of dissimilar parts of a flower, whereas cohesion is the union of the same whorl, the members of the same whorl. Okay? Hope you don't have any doubts. Anything to be repeated? You want me to repeat anything?
You can go.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am. I'm getting confused.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
Yes.
okay. Okay.
This one was.
Oh? Pardon? Nevin?
Nothing. Yes, ma'am. Confusion.
Which one you want to see? All the parts. Okay.
Yeah.
So all the symbols we'll see once again. And it is easy to remember because in most of the cases it starts with the first letter except one or two. BR, bracteate, the flower is provided with bracts. Okay? Yes, Nevin? K.
Yeah.
K stands for BR indicates bracteate. Bracteate means it's provided with bracts. What are bracts? We already learned. Bougainvillea picture and all I think I had shown you. Hope you are remembering. Isn't it, Punya? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
K stands for calyx. C stands for corolla. This can be confusing. That you make it thorough. The majority of them, it is starting, the symbol is the first letter of that word. But here there is a difference. Calyx with K and corolla with C. P, perianth. P for perianth. A, it's easy to remember, andrecium. G, gynoecium. And if the line is below, that is also easy to remember. Above the line you can see gynoecium or the alphabet. So it is superior. And when it is below, inferior. Inferior and superior ovary. And this two letters I already told you. Just remember the tagline. Males are fond of bow and arrow and females are fond of mirror. So you can easily recollect. It's not a fact. I said that as a mnemonic for you to remember it easily. Don't think that I'm stating some fact. It's not a universal rule that only girls are fond of mirrors. Okay, don't misinterpret that. So this, hope you can remember. The first one, which is having an arrow like at the tip, that indicates male, whereas the symbol which resembles a mirror indicates female. Then, here you can see it is divided in different planes. Okay, that crows like. So in radial plane it is being divided. So that indicates radial symmetry. Other name for that is, such flowers is actinomorphic. And percentage, that symbol indicates bilateral symmetry. Just one cut is shown. Bilateral symmetry, they are zygomorphic. Then, if a digit is enclosed within the brackets, the digit indicates the number of members of that word. And the bracket indicates that members of that particular word are fused together. And I gave you an example also. If it is shown as, let's take the case of C. If it is fused like this and K should come first, K5 or C5. If it is shown like this, you can understand that 5 sepals and 5 petals are there. Sepals are free, but petals are united or fused. Is it clear? If no brackets, they are free. If the digit is in the brackets, if the number is enclosed within the brackets, the bracket indicates fusion of the members. Okay? Is it clear, Navin? From
Yes,
the way you are nodding your head, yes or no, I cannot make out. Was it yes or no?
Ma'am, it is yes.
Yes. Doubtful yes?
No. Confirmed yes.
Oh, okay.
What I meant.
But that should be seen when I ask you the question also. Okay. If any confusion, you can clarify now. Then next one, line which is drawn over the symbols of floral parts, that indicates adhesion. Adhesion means, you know, there are different words, calyx, corolla, andrecium, gynoecium. If the members of the, suppose if the petals are fused together or sepals are fused together, that is cohesion. The association or union is in the same members, among the members of the same word. But when it comes to adhesion, it is between the members of different word. The calyx can be fused with petals, or petals can be fused with stamens, anyhow. And if that is the case, it will be indicated by a line drawn over the symbols of floral parts. See, for example, C stands for calyx, corolla, and A stands for andrecium. If it is shown like this, it indicates that in that particular flower, the petals are fused with the stamens, or stamens are fused with the petals. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes.
Anything to be repeated?
No, ma'am.
No. Do you remember all the information what you get from all the information what you are getting from a floral diagram? Yes? What all information you get from a floral diagram? Anybody? Punya, start.
Number of petals.
Was it written petals? Huh?
Number of parts of a flower.
Number of parts of a flower. No specific word was mentioned. You get an idea about the number of parts. How many parts are there for that flower? Then how are these parts arranged with respect to each other, and how are these parts related with each other? The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower. How the flower is positioned on the axis on which it is produced. Mother axis means the axis on which, the shoot on which the flower is produced. Then we also get an idea about cohesion and adhesion. Hope it is clear the difference between cohesion and adhesion. And then we learn that all these will be arranged in a proper order, starting from calyx and ending in gynoecium. Gynoecium will be the innermost and calyx will be the outermost. Clear? Hope it is clear now. Now next we are going to see the first family. Any confusion means you can clarify now. Is it okay? Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Floral diagram, floral formula. So we'll be learning a floral diagram and floral formula of this particular family, that is Solanaceae. And Solanaceae, it's usually found in tropics, subtropics and even in temperate zones. So in moderate, where it is moderate climate and warm and humid region. So in different climatic conditions you can find it. Tropics, subtropics and even in temperate zones you can find Solanaceae. It's generally known as potato family, potato, then brinjal, tomato, chili, all come under this particular family. Majority of them are herbs and shrubs, and rarely some small trees are also found. Then about the stem. Stem is herbaceous. You know what is the appearance of a stem in a herb. So it's herbaceous and rarely it can be woody. So generally the stem is not that woody, it is herbaceous and aerial, means above the soil, and it is erect, not any climber or creeper. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes,
spinach is herb, like somewhat like herb.
What?
Spinach.
Spinach?
Is it a herb?
Ah, yes.
But
Spinach is a herb. Different types are there. Spinach, mint and all, it's a...
After some time, right, I've seen it getting really hard.
Some of them, but rarely it becomes I think majority, different types are there. Spinach itself, different varieties are there. They are generally herbs. Rarely it can become some of them, not very woody. It can become hard but not dark brown. Oh?
I guess it's because of stunted growth, something like that.
Could be that, but generally they are herbs. Okay. Like in hibiscus and all, you call it as a shrub. Their stem you can see it's very woody. You cannot compare with that one anyway. Okay. Now, it's erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow. Sometimes the stem can be solid with stuff inside, or it can be even hollow. Hairy or glabrous. Hairy means you can see in the picture the stem is provided with minute hairy structures. Then you call it as hairy. And glabrous means free of hair. It can be with or without hair. Glabrous means without hair. Hairy, from the term itself you can understand what does that mean. Provided with minute hair-like structures. And in potato, scientific name of potato is Solanum tuberosum. And here it is underground stem. Potato, you can find the storage of food in the underground stem, that is potato, which you consume. So these are the vegetative characters. I'll repeat the points once again. They are found in tropics, subtropics, and even in temperate zones you can find them, and mostly herbs, shrubs, and rarely you can find small trees also. Just 1 minute. Children, you have your textbook with you?
Yes, ma'am.
In that, about the floral diagram where it is given, the information provided by a floral diagram is given. Have you seen? Children,
Ma'am.
points we covered. Sharon, where can you find it? The potato family.
They are herbs, shrubs, and small trees.
You heard my question. Where are they found?
Underground,
All the plants.
not potato.
Potato only stem, that is storage of food. My question is, in which zone you can find? Climatic conditions.
Tropics
Hmm.
and
Subtropics and temperate
temperature
zones.
zone.
Which are the areas?
Tropics, subtropics, and temperature zone.
Temperate, not temperature. Temperate means
Temperate
where the climate is moderate. Okay. Then we learned about some vegetative features. Gayatri, list some features what we covered.
They are herbs, shrubs, and they are
Then.
rarely trees.
Hmm.
And their stems are herbaceous and rarely woody.
Hmm.
They are cylindrical, which may or may not have hairs on them.
Have? May or may not
Yeah.
have?
Hairs.
Okay, okay. We'll just continue. Now next about leaves. Leaves are alternate. Alternate means, as you can see in the figure, you can find them arranged in an alternate manner. Suppose this is a stem, here one leaf, then here another leaf, here another leaf. So this arrangement of leaves is known as alternate arrangement. So leaves are alternately arranged. Then next point is simple leaf. So I think when we learned about plant kingdom, I had mentioned about simple and compound leaf. So here the leaf is simple. Children, are you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll learn more about simple and compound later. And now you just understand that the leaves are simple leaf. Then they are rarely pinnately compound. So leaves can be either simple or compound. And in compound leaf itself, it can be pinnately compound or palmately compound. So I think I had mentioned it, don't know whether you are remembering. For example, the leaf, this particular leaf, let me take the pen. Okay. So if this is considered as a leaf, you can take it as a simple leaf. Okay. This is a simple leaf. But if you take the case of a curry leaf or a tamarind leaf, you can find even a rose leaf. You can find arranged on the main axis so many small leaves. Tamarind leaf, you know, Puliela. So are you remembering the structure of the leaf? Yes. So here you can see small leaflets. Actually you call it as leaflets, and this together make one leaf. This is simple leaf, whereas these type of leaves, curry leaf, then tamarind leaf, so many examples are there. Rose leaf, 5 leaflets of a rose make one leaf. If you haven't noticed, please do check today one rose leaf or rose plant and check out for the leaves. So this type of leaves are said to be compound leaves. Simple leaves and compound leaves. And compound leaves are again of 2 types. Compound leaf can be of two types. It can be pinnately compound or palmately compound. Pinnately or palmately compound. So pinnately compound rose leaf, it's an example for pinnately compound leaf. Whereas palmately compound leaf, they will have the appearance of a palm. So there are so many incisions will be there, and these are the incisions. Okay, and all these come and join at a common point. These incisions all will be coming and joining at a common point. So such type of leaf you call it as palmately compound leaf. Are you following, children? Yes.
Ma'am, can you tell that once more?
Yes, I will repeat. Let me. So leaves, they can be of two types. It can be either simple or compound. Okay, hibiscus leaf and in the potato family, the leaves are mostly they are simple. Okay, simple means the leaf can have some incisions, cuts at the edges, but those incisions will not reach up to the mid vein. See, if a leaf is there, just imagine this is a leaf. Okay, these you can call it as incisions or small cutting. Okay, small incisions, with or without that you can find, but those incisions will not reach up to this is a midrib. This vein is known as midrib or mid vein. These are the branches of the main vein. Incisions are there, but these incisions are not reaching the or not touching the midrib. Okay, they are having incisions. See here in this figure, I'll show you. Let me take a different coloring. See here you can find some incisions. Some cuts are there, but none of these incisions are touching the midrib. Okay, and not forming leaflets. So such a leaf is simple leaf. But in some plants, their leaves, the incisions will touch up to the midrib, and they form small leaflets. Okay, they form small leaflets. Let me see by next period I can get any specimen from a school compound. If yes, I will show you. Okay, so here you can see the midrib. These are the incisions which touch the midrib, dividing it into small leaflets, and this together we consider as one leaf. So such a leaf is compound leaf. Okay, we learn more about that later. Don't worry if you haven't understood. So the points what we learned about leaves are that they are alternate. That I think you have understood. Alternately arranged. So in a stem, so one from here, one alternately from the nodes, and at the same time it can be opposite also. If this is the stem, one leaf from here and just opposite to that another leaf comes, then you call it as opposite arrangement. But here it is alternate. One from this node, one from here, alternately they are produced. Okay, then that arrangement is known as alternate. Then the leaves are simple. Leaves are simple, and sometimes it can be compound. If it is compound, they are pinnately compound. Just remember these. More description I will give next period. Okay, we'll wind up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.